Hi, and welcome today to Celebrity Customer Experience Riffs with me, Jill Raff, where we riff on anything and everything employee or customer experience related. I truly believe that employee experience will lead to customer experience, good or bad. They are interconnected. And when you have what I call a connection culture, you can count on your employees to deliver that celebrity customer experience to your end customers. So, first, I want to start by saying thank you. If you're joining, giving everyone a little bit of time to join today. I know it's not always possible to join live. So, if you're watching the replay, thank you for that. And I want to encourage you to incorporate your ideas and thoughts, both through commenting and tagging me, whether you're watching the replay or if you're watching live. When you comment, then I can see your thoughts and add them into the conversation, which is so much more fun. So please do share. Don't be shy. Step in, have your voice heard. And those who watch the replay, if you're doing this live, will also be able to benefit from your input as well. I do believe we're all better together with more people's input. So thank you. And I appreciate your time, really investing your time here with me today. It will be just me today. So I want to encourage that and to engage and be sure to share this with anyone that you think may benefit from it. Okay, so let's dive in. First, I have a question for you. Do you believe that your business will actually increase revenues by engaging loyal and committed employees and customers? Now, this ties into today's topic, which is the secret to where everyone wants to shop, to dine, to vacation, right? Like everyone wants to know, how is it that that business is so popular? Why does everyone want to go there? Why does everyone want to eat at that restaurant? Why does everyone want to stay at that hotel? All right. So, what is that secret? Because if we all knew it and we could crack that code, trust me, business would be flowing and your customers would be your biggest advocates and your employees would be your biggest advocates. And that's my goal, is to help you think about how do we turn employees into advocates and customer experience magnets. That's the EX to CX brand philosophy and principle, is from employee experience to customer experience, and that will happen. Okay, so why was that question about whether you feel that you could increase your revenue by engaging your and a committed and loyal employees and customers? Well, because when you are the place where everyone wants to patronize, you will also be the place that everyone wants to work for. You will become the employer of choice. When you engage with your people, they will feel seen and heard, feel that they're acknowledged, that they are knowledgeable, that they're a part of a greater purpose, a work family. And the same applies, right, to your employees and your end customers, your guests. I feel like the word customer, I use it really for both situations, because I do believe that your employees are your internal first line customers. They are your first customers and should be treated as such. And think of how often companies take their employees for granted, thinking, oh, well, we're paying them, right? So we don't have to provide anything else for them. But oh my gosh, I think the pandemic has shown us and can fortunately highlighted what I've been saying for a long time, that no, the first line, you have to start in the inside and you have to take care of your people internally first. And this whole idea applying to your employees and your in customers and guests, well, why is that equivalent? Why is that so important? Because ultimately, I believe that people are people first and their customers second. So I apply again that term customers to employees. So they're people are people first, and they are your employees second. People are people first, and they are your buying customers second. Connect with them human to human first, and then the rest of it will flow and will be so much easier in the process. When you create this connection and thus loyalty and repeat business, you're developing a commitment. You're developing that committed person to your business, whether employee or end customer. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of the law of reciprocity. There are universal laws. I don't remember now how many, but one of the universal laws is the law of reciprocity. And I'm sure you've experienced this in your life, right? So take you take care of me, I'll take care of you. You do something for me, and people will feel compelled to reciprocate that nice gesture, that kindness. That's the law of reciprocity. So take it, say, in its simplest terms, think about when someone gives you a compliment. What usually happens? You feel somehow compelled. It happens automatically. And perhaps through our training growing up, right? That's the way we've been conditioned. But the truth is, when someone gives you a compliment, what do? You compliment them back, right? Like, "Oh, wow, like, Susan, your hair looks amazing today." They're like, "Oh, wow, thank you so much. I love, your shirt," or, "I think you look great today too." Whatever it is, there always seems to be this reciprocation. So, the same, universal law applies to your business, and think about that. Think about how if we trained our people, our employees, to be present, to listen actively, to engage with your paying customers in a way that was genuine, that showed curiosity and a desire to really serve them and help them with whatever it was. Think of the feeling that they're gonna have and the little compliment, and I'm not saying do it forced, right? It has to feel genuine. It has to be, done in a very authentic way. But when you do that, you're going to automatically win these people on your side, and you're gonna be able to then create that relationship. And, this is true in all kinds of relationships, personal relationships, business relationships. And I think one of the healthiest relationships follows Zig Ziglar's philosophy, where he said, "You can have everything you want in life if you will just help enough other people get what they want." Right? I love that. And think about if you're in a relationship and you are taking care of the other person's needs and they buy into the same philosophy and they are making sure they take care of your needs, well, then everyone's needs will be taken care of, probably better than if they each looked after just themselves. Uh, and it will feel so much better, right? It's so much more fun to give and to care about someone else than sometimes constantly having to take care of our own needs. Now, some people might think, well, if it's what I want, then I'm going to make sure it's done 100%. But I can tell you that for me, with all on my plate and all my responsibilities to other people in my life, friends, family, whatever it is, on top of business, that I fall the lowest on the totem pole. I often don't get to those things that I need to take care of me. And so if you're in this relationship, again, business or personal, if you work on that law of reciprocity and you're taking care of each other, then you will have the best results, and you'll be creating this bond and a connection from the emotion of caring for someone else. So I promise you, the secret to where everyone wants to shop and dine and vacation goes along with me. Find it here. Hold on. I thought I had it queued up. Is actually comes from a song. Now, this is going to be the theme song that you're probably all familiar with, and also the theme of today's episode. And here's what I believe is indeed the secret of where everyone wants to patronize. Let's see here. Hold on. Oh, my goodness. Here we go. Okay. Hold on. Sorry. Hang on, guys. Let me turn up the volume here. There we go. All right. Here's the reason. Here's the secret.
Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you gotta go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see the troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Okay. Now, doesn't that say it all? Don't we all want to go where everybody knows your name, right? Like, and why do they know your name? Because you've been there, you as a repeat customer, and they take a point to ask your name, to use your name, to know what you like, to know how you want to purchase something, to know how you want something served to you. I love that song because it is so powerful. Besides the program, right? Cheers went on for I think it broke records for how long, excuse me, how long it ran. But think about that. You sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. Don't you want to be somewhere where you feel the acknowledgement and people actually like expressing to you that they're glad that you came back? They're glad that you're there. They're glad that you came to do business with them. They're happy to see you. And they ask, do you want your usual? Right. So not only do they know your name, they know what your likes are, what your dislikes are. You want to be where you can see our troubles are all the same, right? Like we all need that acknowledgement in some way of understanding that I'm not in this alone. Like what I'm going through may feel overwhelming. It may feel like it's just me, but it's not just me. There are a lot of people who feel the same. There are a lot of people who are going through the same thing. And I have this camaraderie. I instantly feel validated, right? There's this validation that happens. You want to be where everyone knows your name. Boom. I just think that's it. Like that says so much. So, I often ask my guests that I have on the show what they think the most pressing problem is in the workplace and in the market. And for me, I have to say that I really feel employees being treated like transactions is one of the biggest problems. Organizations not living into their motto, or I should say, into my motto, that they need to transform transactions into interactions, that they need to actually understand that there are people involved. And that starts both internally with your employees and your end customers. Companies are not taking the time to acknowledge their people, to appreciate their value. They're not mining the gold from within, helping find their true nuggets of people who they've already invested the time in. They've already vetted them, they've already trained them to the culture. They know the way of the company. And then often when it comes time to promotions or reorgs, people are just left out in the cold. There's no help anything internally. There's no search for trying to figure out how do we take these people who we've already invested so much, who have proved themselves to us, and actually grow them within the company. And think about the amount of time, the money, the productivity cost, the effect on teamwork. I mean, on and on, to have to start all over by teaching someone new all about the organization's culture. Well, that's assuming that they've done the work and that they're cognizant of its importance in their company and that they are passing that along from the very first conversation. Then, their positions, their responsibilities, the expectations to ramp them up, like all of those things that would need to happen versus someone who's already in your culture, who's already vetted, who understands the goals and purposes of your company, who's used to working about that and moving them to another area from within. So, in short, what's lacking are the relationships. Now, I believe that interactions create relationships, and real relationships creates connection. And that word is singular, creates connection, not connections as in personal or professional gain or benefit to someone, but a genuine connection, human to human. And of course, that connection equals profit. And I mean that also not only professionally and financially, but it's profit in a personal, emotional, human way that we benefit from that connection to another human being. Studies show the benefits are huge, both to our personal health as well as the productivity within companies. And I think the pandemic has forced us and forced organizations to actually stop and recognize that it is, in fact, our workforce, our people that want to be seen and heard as people, not as a workforce transaction or a cog in the wheel of a larger system. They want to know that you know their name. They want to know, despite how large the company is, that you see their value towards the benefit of your company. It is truly time to wake up because nothing is going back to normal. Whatever normal was, you've heard me say, I don't believe there's really such a thing as normal. But we're all moving forward, not backwards, going back to anything. We're moving forward and at lightning speed, I might ask, like whiplash speed. So we cannot undo what everyone has already experienced in these last 2 years during the pandemic, and we will forever be changed. And part of that change is having the relationships, having the genuine care and the investment in our people. A relationship business is where it's at. And you have to start from the inside. It's why my process is called the Inside Out Framework. It starts from within. Everybody wants to work where everybody knows your name. Think about that. So, what are a couple of quick things, easy things that your organizations can do and implement right now to help them move forward with this current paradigm shift? And really, what truly requires the human to human connection? And sorry, I'm going to take care of a user there who joined us. So, as someone who grew up in a very fast-growing franchise system business in McDonald's, my parents opened McDonald's number 150, never knowing or dreaming it would be McDonald's that we know of today. But growing up with that and seeing the culture change, seeing the business develop, I know the challenges of fast-growing businesses and the impact that it has. And looking back on all my experiences, my foundation, and the interviews and the conversations that I've had with those men and women who have worked for my parents during those early days of building, I understand with full clarity that it's in their relationships, that familiarity, the making of actually both employees and the customers feel that they are returning day in, day out to that place where everybody knows their name. Now, when we've created this connection culture internally and then externally, you've created an environment where everybody wants to be. You will, in fact, become that employer of choice. You will be sought out for. You will have greater attraction as well as greater retention. Great CX, I feel, is created from the quality of your EX. So if you produce or ignore your employee experience and produce bad employee experience, trust me, it will have a direct correlation and will produce the same on your customer. There's no way an unhappy employee is going to provide a great experience for your customers. They feel the energy. They'll feel the discord. It's a given. There's no way around it. What we found is those who stayed on in McDonald's for all of those years, my parents were in the business for 35 years. And I spoke with people who started in those very early days in the 60s, so a few years on, people that I've spoken with, really have talked about that they felt like they're a part of a family. They felt like they were somewhere where everyone knew their name. They still remember and would recount to me stories of picnics, activities, even direct conversations with my dad that they had that stuck with them throughout their life, and have told me that it was those conversations with my dad where he asked about things in their personal life or gave them business advice even outside of McDonald's and what was going on as they worked their way up into management, some of these people and others not. And that advice was something that they took through to this day. And some of these people are, most of them actually are in their 70s, 60s, and 70s. And they said one of them is a teacher and said that he brings that in. He said, my students all know about Mr. Raff. I tell stories about him and the experiences that I had and the foundation that I had. And that's what made me the man I am today. These are the things that will keep your employees from moving to a competitor. These are the things that make them your advocates. And these are the things that make them your customer magnets, because their energy, their positivity, their contribution, their representation of your brand is what's going to attract and bring customers back over and over, and will bring in other great employees like them, right? Birds of a feather. If they're great staff and great employees, they're likely to know other people, friends and family, that would also work in the same with the same work ethic, the same mindset, same attitude, the same values. Other things that we found is that they felt like they were respected. They said, you know what, Jill, we always felt that your dad respected us but expected a lot from us. And in turn, we gave respect back. So there was that mutual alignment and mutual agreement. And that is what's so important. Expectations need to be laid. And only then can you hold people accountable. And when you hold them accountable, just like in raising children, right? Child rearing, when you hold them accountable and they do something good or bad, whatever it is, and there's actual self um, independence and responsibility, then at that point you can hold them accountable for whatever's going on, and then they're going to have that great sense of pride. And we find that that sense of pride in one's work and in pride in their behavior and what they're doing, when you acknowledge and recognize that and you reward that, that's where you're going to get more of that. So these people felt respected. They felt responsible. This one manager, John, said, you know what? I knew these weren't my stores, but guess what? I treated them and worked for them like they were, because I knew when the corporation would come in and do the all the reviews and check that everything was working and they had their criteria. He said, I knew if that store didn't perform well, it was my name on the line. Like it might not have been my store, but it was my responsibility. And I felt like it was mine. And I worked in that way. And I love that, because honestly, that's the way I was raised, probably from my dad and from working at McDonald's my entire life growing up, is that I received that as well, that work ethic, that working towards something just as if it's your own, and with that same pride, that same commitment level, whether it is or not, because that's your integrity level. That is who you are. And that's what we found with these people. And who doesn't want that, right? That's what we all want from all of our employees. And lastly, they felt trusted. Now, this is a huge one. When you have trust, it is the foundation of every healthy relationship. And without it, really, there cannot be anything positive that could come of that. Because at the end of the day, the trust allows people to go make decisions independently on their own. It makes the scenario where you, as the owner or the manager and leadership, can actually let go, knowing and having faith that you have educated them, you have engaged with them, you have trained them, you have given them everything that they need to success, you've invested in their success. Then they go off and you have to trust that they're going to do what you need to do. That's really a kind of a capsule of my E3 formula, which is the foundational part of my framework. And that's to engage, I'm sorry, that's to educate, not just train, but to educate people on who you are, what your brand stands for, all of those things. Also to train as a part of that, but it comes after, right? First you have to educate, then you can get to the training, the skill, functional skill set trainings. And then you need to engage with them side by side. Another thing that we learned is that everyone talked about how your dad came in the store. He didn't stand from the back and comment and tell us to do this or that or what we were doing wrong. He rolled up his sleeves and he was right there next to them. He was working the fries, he was working the grill, he worked the front counter, what he supported the people in the front counter, whatever was needed, he was right there next to them. And that is also really, really huge. So I want to welcome Spellbound Wagers. Thanks for joining us. Who says, so true and always a great perspective. Thank you. Yeah, you know, it's so important that we get in there and that we connect human to human and we let people know that we believe in them, that we trust in them, and then say, go prove us wrong, right? Like obviously proving us right, but that's the goal is you don't have to worry about it anymore. So I want to also put up on the screen here my connection to me. If you have any questions or want to reach out, if you understand that this is what this means, and if you understand how important this is, and if you want to transform transactions into interactions with you in your company, then reach out and let's talk. Check out my website. It's my name, jillraff.com. And then click on where it says at the top, hi, Jill, how can I help you? Well, I have a little surprise for you because it's not like anyone else's website probably that you've seen. And it gives me an interactive way of hearing from you. I don't want to give away too much, so go check it out. And I look forward to learning about your business with that. So with that, I want to thank everyone for joining today. I'm really looking forward to next week. I have a great guest coming up. He is the COO of Big Shots Golf, a company that's growing leaps and bounds and really applying the EX to CX principles in their business. February 3rd is the next show, same time, same place. So thank you for joining us there. And we have some other, and one more comment. Like you alluded to, my best bosses were the ones who interacted. That's great feedback. Thank you so much for that. Yes, you know, if there's someone who stands at the back and talks at you or barks orders, I don't think any of us would respond to that. It's those who jump in, who engage with you, who interact with you, who say, I'm not asking you to do anything that I'm not willing to do. And that's what, again, what I heard back from many of the people who I interviewed who worked for my dad is there was nothing he expected me to do that he wasn't willing. I'm sorry. There wasn't anything he expected me to do that he wasn't willing to do himself. And I think how we get in and connect, again, it goes back to the relationships I talked about earlier, creating those genuine relationships with your people. Remember, people are people first, and they are employees or customers second. And that's really the crux of it all. So thank you, Spellbound Wagers. Thank you, everyone, for joining, even if you didn't comment. I don't know you're here. Thank you for watching the replay. Be sure to share with others, comment along the way, tag, share to your accounts, to your peeps, so everyone there can see it as well. And I look forward to joining you again next week, same time, Thursday at 12 o'clock. Central, same time, and join me with my guest, TJ Shire from Big Shots Golf. Really excited to have him here. So have a great week, to more great experiences and connections for all of you in the meantime. Thank you.